Squid, from the Saturday Review, April 23, 1927. The squid, if our biology is correct, sucks in whatever comes its way and, when excited, squirts out ink. So does New York. Philadelphia, once the intellectual capital of America, is cultivated but uncreative. Some scholarship, some excellent essays, about as much good poetry as a New England village produces, an occasional novel, seldom important, that is all. Boston suppresses more books of the imagination than she produces. Publishing is still vigorous there, and scholarship, but pure literature looks elsewhere for a habitat. When Boston writes it is of her past, her present is largely silence. San Francisco, still a cosmopolis, still congenial to the literary mind, has by no means fulfilled the expectations of those who saw new airy castles of the imagination about to rise on the Pacific. She has a past, like Boston, which is more brilliant than her present. Chicago is assertive, but her best writers will not stay at home. She is best when rough, the dove of self-confidence refuses to light in her bosom. Foreigners rave over her as the great exponent of raucous America, but her best contributions might have been written in New York, and often are. Detroit and Cleveland, the fourth and fifth cities of the United States and among the great congeries of the world, are pockets in literary radio, silent, inexpressive, and apparently content. There is no intellectual center in America not strictly academic, but New York. Of course Paris sums up France, but Paris can. London is Great Britain's focus, but there is an autonomy in British writing which results from roots sunk deep in the English counties, the Highlands, Ireland. Berlin, in a federated Germany, has no such powers of suction and destruction as New York. This grating squirter, this vast eddy into which young writers from all the states drop like chips and whirl in the maelstrom, is no friend to local talent. It welcomes it, at the price of absorption. Tentacles reach everywhere, drawing in talent, pumping back ink. What is the matter with Philadelphia? Is it content with two national weeklies, written not for or by Philadelphia? Is there no literature in her, no energy of the creative imagination, no pleasure except in appreciation? Why is Boston the last of the great cities in which producers care to put on a good play? Why do Detroit and Cleveland support admirable symphony orchestras, the leader of one from Russia, of the other from New Haven, one good magazine of journalism, but no publishers, no poets or few writers of any kind? Indianapolis, once a literary illusion, sunk into obsolescence except for its excellent publishing firm, with a branch in New York, and Booth Tarkington, who spends half the year in New England. Is it inescapable that the voices of the states, as Whitman would have expressed it, should come singly from a Cabell, a Glasgow, an Elizabeth Roberts, a Frost, a Hayward, a Tarkington, a Gale, with nowhere a community of minds, like Concord's, nowhere an intellectual? Why is there no general publishing firm, no literary magazine not academic, in all of the South? Why are Santa Fe, New Orleans, Santa Barbara spoken of as literary colonies, more closely bound to New York than to their own soil? Few will deny the facts. Are they encouraging? Has the state died in literature as in politics? Is sectionalism, which was the great irritant in the intellectual life of this country, become a means of local color and no more? Is it inescapable that the voices of the states, as Whitman would have expressed it, should come singly from a Cabell, a Glasgow, an Elizabeth Roberts, a Frost, a Hayward, a Tarkington, a Gale, with nowhere a community of minds, like Concord's, nowhere an intellectual center, as Edinburgh once was, outside of the capital? If so, let us make the most of New York, even though New York has several marked disadvantages as the Rome of our modern empire, being too heterogeneous to be American, too expensive to be a permanent domicile, too close to the magnets of profitable journalism to be safe for the young and ambitious. But the situation is not fortunate, either for literature or good living. The author who, having learned his world, goes home, and brings his friends, and stays there, is likely to profit both his city and himself. Ideas spark from contact with others. Self-criticism operates where there is competition among meeting minds as well as among published works. It is not good for the writer to write by himself and for himself too long, as the work of Cabell often shows. The New York hive should swarm.